Lucia. Welcome to Issues and Answers. This is a production of the Government Information Service, and I am your host, Kishma Seri. Today we are going to be discussing a topic of particular importance on the national level, the Hewanorra International Airport Redevelopment Project. And we have with us today the CEO of the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, Mr. Darren Snack.
Morning.
And we also have the Director of Airports, Ms. Charles. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, and happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Thank you. Now, Mr. Snack, at the first phase, as the project resumes, there has been a pause, there has been a delay. One of the components, one of the major areas is the construction of a state-of-the-art air traffic control tower. So give us an overview of the project. Where are we at now? And tell us about what's happening with HIA.
Again, thank you very much. Good morning. And we are very pleased to be in your studio. For some of us, it's the first time. So thank you so much once again. The Hewanorra International Airport Redevelopment Project is a very important project, not just for SLASPA, but for the people of St. Lucia. SLASPA and the government of St. Lucia have had this project on its developmental agenda for many years, as we know. So where are we? We would have broken ground in February of 2019. So next month is actually 6 years away. And where we are on the project, we have completed the foundation. So that is completed. And we are currently going to resume the construction of the air traffic control tower. So the project in itself has many phases. It entails what you call parking apron positions, or where the aircraft park on what you call the air side of the airport.
That helped. Yes.
Then when you move from that location, you come to the terminal building, which I think is of everyone's great interest. And then you have the land side, which involves new car park and the roadway to the terminal building. So in effect, this is what comprises the HIA redevelopment project on this component. It's very important, as I indicated, in terms of our national development, and it supports the vital tourism industry in St. Lucia. So when you hear of airlift, the airport is actually supporting the tourism sector greatly, because if you do not have the infrastructure as well, and the staff, air traffic controllers, the airport community, then it's very difficult to support that industry. So this is where we are. We had a pause last year on the tower, and what transpired is we had to terminate the contractor. We had to terminate for performance, for breaches in performance, health and safety. That happened late last year, and we actually this year are in the market via an open competitive bidding process for us to continue the project. So in the main, this is the HIA redevelopment project, and we are very much looking forward to proceeding with it from this year moving on. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, you did mention the termination of the contractor, and you mentioned the fact that this is somewhat of the backbone of the tourism industry, just getting persons to the island. That is very, very important, of course. And for greater efficiency, greater effectiveness. The bidding, when are you looking to start the bidding process? You mentioned that the construction aspect has been done, the foundation. So the bidding, when are we looking at? Just shy of 6 years.
So after the termination of the contractor in late 2024, early 2025, we have commenced the bidding for the tower. And we've identified the tower as being one of the most critical packages for the HIA redevelopment project. Not just from, and Ms. Charles will speak about, that's more her forte, in terms of, the tower and modernizing the aviation sector. But the tower is what we call a breakaway package from what we had called a shell package, which included the terminal building. But for SLASPA, for us, we are very happy that we will be proceeding with the construction of a world-class facility that meets international standards. And it's actually in keeping with our vision. And our vision is to be that modern gateway connecting people, partners, and the world. So when you speak of a modern gateway, you cannot continue with an over 50-year-old tower at your facility. And for us, we are very thankful to our staff for working in the existing facility and for ensuring that they are supporting the vital tourism industry in the country. So for this year, we also will be going out to tender competitive bidding process for the other packages for the airport. So that would be the airside works, the landside works, and the terminal building. So there will be quite a bit happening in 2025, and we are really excited to continue this journey in modernizing the aviation sector in St. Lucia.
Okay,
So,
fantastic.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Snack. Now, as it relates to the safety, the modernization, the development of the air control tower, Ms. Amy Charles, I turn to you. So tell us why this is such a crucial part of the development. And Mr. Snack mentioned modernization and getting up to the times, as it were. Tell us about the safety precautions that would be taken. Generally, what is the tower bringing in terms of modernization to HIA?
Yeah, this is a topic that is very close to my heart. I'm a former air traffic controller, career air traffic controller. And so I did work at that facility. I was mostly based in Castries at George Charles, but I worked at that facility in the late 80s into the early 90s. So I know the limitations of the current facility. And it has been around, as Mr. Snack said, for over 50 years. And I want to lend support to Mr. Snack in saluting, because all this is done behind the scenes. And we have a great team of air traffic controllers, some of them who have retired, some of them who have moved on over the years, and those who are current, who have been doing a fantastic job on the limited conditions in terms of their ergonomics and in terms of modernization. So I really salute this team, and I'm really, really grateful to them. I was a part of it, as I said. So as we look to move forward in terms of modernization, it's not simply about the facility in terms of it's going to be a 100-foot tall tower, so you have a greater visual of your entire surroundings. But we're going to have a simulator room, a training room facility, which we currently don't have, and we currently do in terms of other areas at the airport. We are going to have a system, an air traffic management system, which is going to be able to manage electronically our flight systems as well as our flight strips, which would tie into all our business and airport, the commercial aspects of the airport. Because when the planes come in, the controllers bring in the planes and support the planes and leaving, but there's a commercial component to that as well in terms of what keeps the airport afloat, correct data, and the like. And we're also going to have tied to that another system which is going to be installed, which is called an automatic dependent surveillance broadcast system, which, to put in layman's terms, it's pretty much you have on your phone flight aware, flight radar, where you can track the aircraft. So of course it's going to be that on a more advanced system in the air traffic control tower, which the controllers can use, tied into the air traffic management system. So they're going to be able to work separately, and they can work together, interlinked. So you can have the redundancy if one goes down in terms of air traffic management system or ADSB. So we have that in terms of the modernization of the equipment and the service. But what is also critical is that you're going to have the space now in the tower cab in terms of a console system where you can separate, because I don't think some people may not know that air traffic control is separated into different areas of control. So you'd have ground control, where you have the planes on the ground moving around, parking aircraft, vehicles, that kind of thing, having to be separating these from each other. Then you have an aerodrome control, which is airspace close to the airport. It's imaginary, but it's around you. And then you have approach control, which is higher up to 10,500 feet, which we control. So where you can now separate each unit, and then also have the supervisor who can now be able to have their own console area to see and hear exactly what is going on, if necessary, override. Right now, this is in a more closed-up environment and more in terms of a manual system. So you're looking at an automated electronic system where you can have all those safeguards in place, and of course the space and the separation to do that work. So we are very much looking forward to this.
Wow, wonderful, Ms. Charles. Wonderful. I love the automation.
Yes.
And I love the passion. But we are going to take our first break, so hold the thoughts. Thank you for staying with us. This is Issues and Answers. We will be right back.
Hello, OECS.
Yo, OECS, this is your ocean. If I am to protect your future, we have to work together. It's the time to work together. If I am to help protect your future. Once I used to be so pure and clean, and those hills were so fresh and green. But now you see me as your dumping ground. Current situations has me choking on your pollution. Think hard about it. You will agree that really there is no you without me. Make the zero waste pledge, be responsible. Reduce your waste, recycle where possible. It's down to you, so make the commitment. Recycle for blue oceans and our betterment. Recycle OECS, green actions, blue oceans. For blue oceans and our betterment.
Welcome back to Issues and Answers. Today we are discussing the Hewanorra International Airport Redevelopment Project. We have in studio the Director of Airports, Ms. Amy Charles, and the CEO or General Manager of St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, Mr. Darren Snack. And just before the break, we were discussing the modernization and the automation that is happening with the tower, as opposed to the manual aspect that it has been for the last 50 years. And we are so grateful for the change. Now, Mr. Snack, you had mentioned some of the various bidding areas. I think we had 4 areas in total, with a heavy focus on the tower currently. But as it relates to the public, what can they expect to see? Because we know most of this is happening in the background. So as persons are driving by, as persons are curious, what can you tell them to look out for?
A very good question, and I would say that for 2025, and when the air traffic control tower, we had started below the height of the hoarding, nobody saw what was happening. But as the levels started to increase on the tower, then it created that visibility that something is happening on the site. And then persons were disappointed that they saw a stop, a halt. Hey, Slasco, what's going on? St. Lucia, what's going on? But for this year, we will be continuing the construction of the tower. I think definitely the public can look forward to that. And for us, we are very much looking forward to not just the recommencement, because it started construction, but the completion. And that completion can take, again, you are in a competitive bidding process. You have to allow bidders to be able to submit the bids. And when they do that, they will indicate to you a time frame for the completion of the tower. But we anticipate not more than a year after they recommence that it should be completed, all dependent on the responsiveness of the market. So that's for the tower. Regarding the other components of the project that complement an airport, and it's just not a terminal building. You could have a really nice, modern, automated terminal building, but if you do not have the number of parking positions for aircraft, you are constrained, because where would those persons deplane, for example, in terms of the 6 parking positions that are currently available at Hewanorra International Airport. So we are actually in discussions with regards to the sequencing of the remainder of the project. And when we go out to tender competitive bidding process in 2025, it will give one a clear indication as to the other components. So for example, as I said, the apron is of great interest for us at SLASPA and the states and our stakeholders. So we may decide to go out with that package firstly, and then phase in the others as well. But again, these are current ongoing discussions we are having with the technical team, and I'm very, very happy to say that we have a team of highly qualified experts, both internal to SLASPA, as you can hear from Ms. Charles' extensive experience
She does.
in the sector, but supported by our team of international experts, our engineers, project coordinator, the sub-consultants, and our staff at SLASPA. So when we have those discussions, we will determine on that exact sequencing of events. So that's what I think we can see, the continuation of the tower in 2025, and the commencement of construction of at least some of the other aspects of the project will start in 2025. And once we have those bids in from a competitive bidding process, public tender process, then we will be able to provide greater details once a contractor is chosen, and then his time frame is indicated in his proposal. So yes, it is a year of great excitement because the last upgrade at Hewanorra International Airport was around 1990, 1992.
1992, yes.
1990 to 1992.
It's a while.
We are overdue.
Absolutely.
We are overdue. So
Absolutely.
whenever you travel, you see airports always have signage, construction in progress. Because in an airport, there's always some upgrade, if not from a core infrastructure, but from technology improvements. And with COVID, there are many different technologies that have come on market. Some have actually gone out of business, some have, unfortunately, some businesses, so they don't have supporting technologies, but it created an opportunity for new technologies and different processes to be able to support the processes within an airport in terms of ensuring that the passengers get through in and out your airport very quickly, safely and securely, because in an airport environment, these are key. The safety and security of the passenger. This is a highly regulated business. Highly regulated. So in terms of for 2025, expect a lot of action on the Hewanorra International Airport redevelopment project. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
And to you, Ms. Charles, you did mention some of the upgrades that were happening as it relates to the technical aspect of the control tower. Having been in there, having experienced it, what is the ideal for you? Do you think we are dotting the necessary I's and T's with the project ongoing in terms of the various areas that are being covered?
Yes, we are. And even sometimes when you have delays, you are disappointed at the delays, but also the delays give you an opportunity to do things differently as well. You see what's new on the market that you could do differently. You see in terms of even you have this facility, and maybe when you initially thought it out, you said, okay, this space should be used for this area. And then you see suddenly, take for instance, we wanted to create a library space. And then we are now in the age of technology, even more technology, realizing pretty much what we really need right now is an e-library. We don't want to have too much paper. So we're saying, hey, we create a different space in terms of the kind of simulator that we would want in there, in terms of whether it is almost like with AI particulars. So you have a facility which is different. So that's what sometimes delays give you the opportunity to do. And of course, one of the great things we want to do is in terms of the whole communication system. In terms of where the controller speaks to the tower speaks to all the other persons in terms of that interconnectivity. So we intend to install a very state-of-the-art, it's called a voice communication switching system, I think if you're familiar with in terms of switching systems as you're communicating with us right now. So pretty much is the controller talking to the pilot, being able to switch to another controller talking to each other in terms of the three areas I outlined, and also speaking to persons on the ground. That system is going to be so state of the art that will free up the controller from all the issues, the more manual processes that they are doing. So all of these things now, in terms of the future, you could just see, hey, you are checking up the dots, but you may be checking up the dots in different ways, and in terms of more effective ways than you would have thought of maybe 6 years ago.
Wonderful. Now, as Mrs. Snack said, it is a very regulated, highly regulated system, and I can only imagine the safety that has to go into, air traffic, and just generally the management of thousands of lives at any given time. As it relates to the new system, because you did mention certain guidelines, is there any particular area where safety is concerned that it was necessary to check off?
Yes, in terms of, and I think I mentioned it earlier, we really appreciate the idea of having the air traffic management system as well as the ADSB system, because this gives the air traffic controller a chance not simply for safety, but more efficiency as well, because you can see the traffic from way off and you can plan for it. So you can plan safely for it, and you can plan effectively as well as efficiently for it. So it gives you an opportunity to manage planes on the ground in terms of parking, because we have limited parking right now, and of course we're going to get more apron space, but it gives you the opportunity to do what we call air traffic flow management. And that is interlinked not simply to St. Lucia, but it's interlinked to Martinique, we fall within their terminal control area, and to Trinidad, Piarco, which controls the entire regional airspace. So a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes, which to us is done more manually right now, but we can see the future of it being done so effectively, and because all the islands are modernizing as well. So it makes it more efficient for all of us, because we are all interlinked and working together behind the scenes.
All right, fantastic. And we will take our second break. Thank you for staying with us. This is Issues and Answers.
Vessels should at all times proceed at a safe speed, that the captain can take proper and effective action to avoid collision and be stopped within a distance appropriate to conditions and circumstances. Even at slow speeds, your boat will create a wake. Look behind at your wake and be aware of the impact this can have on other boats, people in the water, or the shore. Traveling at the speed shown on the speed restriction sign does not guarantee you are not creating excessive wash. When navigating near, in or through a mooring area, drive slowly and keep the wake to a minimum, and keep a lookout for people in the water, small dinghies, and trailing ropes. To determine a safe speed, take the following factors into account: visibility, traffic density, how easy or difficult it is to move the vessel, including stopping distance and turning ability, state of the wind, current, navigational hazards, and draft. It is also important to always keep a lookout to monitor landmarks, navigational hazards, and the captain's blind side. For more information on obtaining a license to fish, contact the Department of Fisheries at 468-4143.
Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Issues and Answers, and we are continuing our discussion as it relates to the Hewanorra International Airport Redevelopment Project. Now, Mr. Snack, back to you. Ms. Charles did mention about the apron and wanting to expand without letting the cat jump out of the bag. What are your plans for expansion? You mentioned that you have 6, I'm not sure if parking areas is the correct term for the planes. Parking positions, yes. What are we looking at in terms of expansion? Because we can definitely agree that we have outgrown our current space at Hewanorra International Airport.
Absolutely. So let me give you one comparison, and that's a great question. Antigua has over 10 parking positions. Over 10 parking positions. They are one of our competitors in the region. And most of the other countries who have developed within the OECS have increased their parking positions. So we are looking to the 6 parking positions that we have currently are what you call for wide-bodied aircraft. So your normal commercial flights, the American Airlines, Air Canada, etc. Not to say I'm missing anyone, but just as an example. And we are looking at least 5 parking positions, so that would bring it to 11 in all.
11.
And therefore, that would give us flexibility. So for example, in our current configuration, if you have any aircraft with a technical issue, you're down to 5 parking positions. If you have a delayed flight, like we've witnessed this past season with snowstorms in North America, these are the realities that we are currently operating, and therefore it reduces to 4. And you have scheduled carriers. So our staff have been doing a tremendous job in managing within the space constraints, and that's why for us and the government of St. Lucia, we are very eager and anxious to move ahead with the continuation of the project, so that we can ensure that we have sufficient apron parking spaces for eventualities, to ensure that we can grow within our 30-year master plan that we have for the airport, so that we can manage and accommodate that traffic now and into the future. So that's the plan, in keeping with our 30-year master plan that we have for the redevelopment of the Hewanorra International Airport.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think making that connection, unless you have the information, is always a challenge. Because even as you mentioned, okay, if there's a delay or if there's an issue, then you see the reduction, but we constantly want airlift and we want visitors in, but then it's so easy to significantly reduce what it is. So it's a very interesting vantage point. I had not looked at it like that.
And therefore, that's why for our national development, because this is not just a SLASP project, huh? For national development, so as a country, as we bring in more hotel plans, and as we have other sectors developing in St. Lucia, you want to support by the additional airlift, but to accommodate that additional airlift within, the times that most aircraft want to come in, because the hubbing overseas, you have there's very little opportunity to change the hubbing times when you fly into a Miami or through a Texas or through a Chicago O'Hare. The airlines would then, you are feeding in from all different locations in North America, and they take the aircraft to come to St. Lucia. So it's very difficult to influence the slot times in those major hubs, because there's a lot of investment made at those locations. So as a country, we have to accommodate. We have discussions to see how best we can, either defer, delay an arrival or departure in terms of the slot times and in terms of scheduling of aircraft, but it's very difficult. I'm hoping that one could appreciate that. And therefore, as a country, SLASPA's role in that national development is to ensure that we have the infrastructure to be able to see the country grow. And the airlift that is increasing into St. Lucia, that's why it's so critical that we continue with this project.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so very much. Now, just before we end, I do invite you, if you would like to add anything about the project. So this has been very comprehensive. I feel very learned at this point. But if there's anything that you would like to add as it relates to the development of the Hewanorra International Airport Redevelopment Project, this is your opportunity to do so.
All I want to say is that I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it. Yes, I think it's in the interest of SLASPA, it's in the interest of St. Lucia. And I'm an aviation person all my career life. And I'm just looking forward to this opportunity and the way ahead. And so that even as I head into potential retirement, I would love to see this for posterity in St. Lucia.
Okay. Mr. Snack?
Yes. So thank you. For SLASPA, as Ms. Charles indicated, we are all very excited in the organization, all looking forward to continue this journey to modernize our aviation sector. But I also want to just a quick point in that in proceeding in that journey, we are committed to have a continued stakeholder engagements, to inform the public of why this opportunity this morning. So thank you very much to you and the NTN staff and your team for inviting us to speak on the airport. We have been speaking with other stakeholders, the Northern and Southern Equestrian Association, the Motocross Association, Motorsports Association. We met with them late last year, and we will continue to engage those stakeholders whilst we progress on the development needs of SLASPA. We're speaking about HI redevelopment, and we are committed to continuing those discussions so that everybody's aware and understand the reasons why, where we started, where we had a pause, and how we are very, very looking forward to continuing this journey 2025. So we had a reset, we had COVID, we had many lessons learned, but we are continuing. So I want to thank you very much for affording us this opportunity.
You are
Have
most
a great
welcome.
day.
You are most welcome. And of course, for ongoing updates or information, we do invite you to follow SLASPA's various handles and to get more information from SLASPA. As Ms. Charles says, delay is not denial. I'm paraphrasing. And the project definitely is ongoing. This is Issues and Answers. Thank you so much for staying with us. I am Kishma Serie.